Hey, it's Emma Romano here, founder of the Thrive and Life Foundation, self-healing coach, and the midwife to your personal alchemy.
I am Kelly Bowen, founder of the Heaven Within Foundation, CEO of Lifestyle Finance Australia, finance expert, life and business coach.
And you are listening to Inspired Conversations,
where we talk about the things that really matter. Yes, we go there.
We share together what's exciting us, inspiring us, and having the most profound impact on our lives and our clients' lives. And we do this to elevate and inspire you.
We cover it all from life, body, love, relationships, trauma healing, addictions, business, money, and all things woo-woo.
So sit back, relax,
and get ready to be inspired and laugh the fuck out loud.
Welcome, everybody. It's Emma Romano here with Inspired Conversations with Emma and Kel. Kelly is off gallivanting around the world still. So I think today she's in Italy somewhere. So she'll be back soon. I have the absolute pleasure of introducing to you Denise Love. Now, I have just met Denise 5 seconds before you guys are meeting her. But she's come to me, she was introduced to me by a beautiful woman. Denise Love is a partner, mother, grandmother. She's a Circle of Life Doula. And what she does is she uses all kinds of sort of modalities like hypnotherapy, all kinds of modalities, and she helps people when they're at their absolute fucking worst. And that's what she does. She just helps people. She loves helping people. And I just wanted to get her on here. I don't even know why I want her on here. I just know I need to get her on here. Energetically, I just know Denise has to be on this podcast to inspire you amazing people listening in. Denise Love, welcome to the show.
Emma, hello, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to meet you, my newest best friend.
My newest best friend. We get on this podcast, and I'm like, just put your camera on. She goes, I'm doing my lipstick, and I'm doing my lipstick at the same time. And we're very similar already. It's amazing. Denise, hello.
Hello, Emma. Thank you for having me. I can't wait. I've just been watching podcasts before we got on to see a little bit more about you, and you cover extraordinary subjects. Thank you for sort of exposing things to the world.
Yeah, you're welcome. I just did a podcast just like before with Lawrence Akers, and it was all about pornography and addiction to pornography.
How interesting.
It was really interesting. And it was about how mothers want to buy their teenagers sex toys.
Fascinating.
Really fascinating stuff. So, yeah, I always get really cool people on. And I'm so glad you're here, Denise. So, Denise, what I know about you is that you live in Victoria near me. And for like 6 months of the year or something, you go and live somewhere overseas. What are you doing with your life? Tell me everything.
Well, I do a lot of things with my life. Gary and I, my husband of 50 years, which I'm really proud of, to actually have maintained a relationship. Yeah. A husband I knew for 12 weeks when I married him. We run a charity. So I'm really hooked into women's health. Oh. I believe if we keep a woman healthy, we keep a family healthy and often a community healthy.
Yes.
And that in itself is a really powerful tool for me. So I started life as a nurse at 17. I travelled around Australia in a combi van, working in Indigenous situations and remote areas of Australia. When I was 21, I met the man, and look, we've had an extraordinary life living all over the world, but we mostly now, in our more aged years, we run a charity in Cambodia. We teach leadership programs in China, Nepal, all sorts of places for young women. And Gary runs the ones for young men who want to support women being leaders. We work in Myanmar, we work in Thailand. I guess, facilitate life for people. We say, what do you need and want in life that you're not got right now? And we try and find pathways to finding a solution for that, whether it's clean water, medical attention, emotional support, how to talk to your mother, how to get rid of your dickhead father, whatever it is, how do we communicate in life so we have what we need and want? So that's
You're talking my language. I love this.
Look, I looked at your podcast and thought, oh my goodness, I love everything you're saying and doing, including buying you know, things for your children, your grandchildren and children, sex toys and whatever they need and want.
Thank you. Yeah, this is fascinating. Tell me about your beautiful relationship. So you met your guy. After 12 weeks, you decided, like, that's it, I'm marrying this man.
Yep. So we met up in a remote on the Gove Peninsula. I was working in a remote area with the Indigenous people. And we met in a folk club. It's a long story in a short way. And we just fell in love. I mean, my legs still wobble when he walks into the room.
I love that.
So we had this very short time, 2-week romance, and he went overseas for a month, and I was already headed overseas. We happened to have resigned from our jobs. My life had just been simple, I guess, in lots of difficult ways. And I flew in to spend some time with him, and he said, do you want to get married? And I said, yeah. Flew back to Australia for a day, got married, and that's literally 50 years ago. We both spent the first night we're together saying, why would you ever get married? Why would you tie yourself down to one person?
Yeah.
Well, bingo, sort of love has its own language. And people say to me all the time, do you really think you fall in love? You know, you can fall in love instantly. And I believe in it. So I do, you know, and it was having both of us say, who'd need a man in my life? I thought, I'll have a baby by 30 if I haven't got a man. But anyway, it's a long story.
That's exactly what I did. So I was like, if I don't have a baby by 30, if I'm not married by 30 or have a man, I was going to do IVF at 30 and have my child.
Oh, yeah. So I wasn't going to do IVF. I was going to do turkey baster. I don't spend money.
Oh, yeah. I've got a question for you. When you first met your husband and you saw him, right, wherever you were in this room, did you look at him and go, oh my God, that's the sexiest fucking thing I've ever seen?
Absolutely. And he walked off the stage singing folk songs back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And said to me, hello, my name's Gary Love. And
what a name.
I know. I was never going to change my name either, by the way. I was going to always be Denise James, but somehow very quickly I changed my name. So I'm a woman of commitment, you know, never get married, never change my name. So when he spoke to me, I honestly almost couldn't speak. I was going, oh, hello, you know. And it's like, and I'm not saying I don't want to paint this as some sort of pretty picture. It's a beautiful picture, but it takes work.
Yes.
And we committed to each other that we will find a pathway through it. And, you know, I've lived in Cambodia on my own for 10 years and he's flown in and out, and we've chosen extraordinary lives for ourselves and we've combined it with each other.
And I would love to know the mindset around that, because I feel most people, I mean, I'm like an expert in human behavior. And I specialize in couples and family. It's my jam, right? Because I'm a family and I'm part of a couple. And I run retreats, you know, all those things. And I teach. What is the mindset behind going, we're just going to be in love and no matter what happens, we're just going to do it? What is that kind of mindset?
Well, the mindset is basically say yes to everything.
Yes.
So we've moved our kids every 4 years. Gary's professional job as a CEO, we moved our family every 4 years, and I chose to uproot. I also chose to be a very involved mother. So when I decided to have babies, I committed to spending 2 years at home with each of my children. So I don't do anything accidentally. It's so hard. I'm a Piscean. I'm very up in my head, but I'm also very strong with my commitment to things. So when I decided to have a baby, I thought, right, how does this fit into this life of yours of drifting around the place? And I committed to 2 years to be really, really focused on being the best mother I could be. And so both of us, I guess, have always stated what we want. And Gary would ring me again and say, oh, guess what? I've been offered a job in wherever it is. What do you reckon? I'd say, let's do it. And then I'd think about how we're going to do it. But and when I said to him, I've been asked to go to Cambodia to bring kindness to the people of Cambodia, and he said, oh, let's do it. And we then got together and said, what does that look like? But we say yes first and then do the mind fucking.
Yes, and it's a really great strategy. It's the same thing I do. I go, yeah. And then I freak out later and go, well, how the fuck am I going to do that? But it always works out.
Well, I think the respect of us both knowing that we're passionate about our work. So as a registered nurse, I mean, it opened the door to anything I ever wanted around the world. It gave me an entry into things. So even though I've continued nursing in Cambodia till the pandemic hit. But I've also got so many thousand other bows, and we kind of love that about each other, and we want it to work. So time apart isn't devastating. We both love our own companies, and even though I know when we spend long times apart, I say to Gary, I'm sure we're risking our relationship at some level. If you're silly enough to find some other woman, well, go for it, you know. And then that releases me from feeling fears around the relationship. So everything's negotiated, though. I think that's the difference. Is so many people I meet, there's one person just wanting and not brave enough to say what their truth is and what they need.
Yes, I agree. There's too many people pleasers out there. And people pleasing, like literally the majority of us are like, there's so many of us are people pleasers. I used to be a people pleaser, and being a people pleaser is it's a very sneaky way of really getting what you want. And when you're a people pleaser, you just go, yes, 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 yes. But it's in your head, you go, no, no, no. So the person you're with, they think they're married to someone, but they don't even actually know you. And this is where we've got to be brave enough to go, no, I don't want to do it. Or it scares the shit out of me. Or I don't know, try and talk me into it. But I don't know, but I'm freaking out here. And we have to be able to be comfortable and trust the person we're with, that they can hold that kind of information as well.
And even if it hurts or it causes a disruption at the time. So my general saying, and I bring that into the death scene as well, is tell the truth quickly. I meet people when they're dying, and I might have 4 hours with them before they're dead, or I might have a day, or, you know, on average 8 days is around normal, or 8 weeks. It's sort of, for some reason, fits into 8s with me. And when I come, they usually invite me into their household to negotiate with family. I've come to understand is my biggest role. And I just say to them, tell me the truth quickly. I don't want to spend all day today finding out what you really need and want. Just say it.
Yeah.
And then when I've got their truth, I can take it to the family. Or when I've got their truth, sometimes there's no family at all, it's just me looking after them, then I've got the option and the opportunity then to facilitate their needs. But if we don't say it, nobody can know what you need and want.
And I'm just wondering, like, to the listeners here, I wonder if there's something that you know you need to say, but you're not saying it. And the thing is this, is when we're so used to not saying something, we then start to go, okay, I'm just going to say it, but we say it in such an aggressive way. So it's such a big shift. You can say no kindly.
Absolutely.
You can tell your wants and needs kindly. You know, if you're a yes person and all of a sudden you go, no, like people got to go, what the fuck is wrong with you? Just sit there, go, oh, it's just not for me right now, but ask me again another day. Thanks.
Or in 10 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes. So I say to people all the time, if I hear you've said no, can I ask you just to go away and think about why you've said no? And then maybe then there's a negotiation space. But saying no abruptly and rudely is just you're setting yourself up for a reaction, I guess. So telling the truth quickly, for me, it's being kind and telling the truth quickly is the essence of life. It is what navigates my life basically everywhere I go.
This is amazing. I love this. Tell the truth quickly. What got you into being a doula? Can you explain to the listeners what a doula is, what a death doula is?
Sure. So doulas it's a word that comes from old Greek language, and doulas were sort of the lowest of low in the family. They were the facilitators, they were the maids, they were the slaves, I guess, almost. So doulas were people who served. And so it's been a terminology that I've taken on, and I created the first birth doula training in Australia, and then I was the first death doula trainer in Australia as well.
Oh, wow.
And it came out of being a nurse. So as a registered nurse, and I love nursing, and I don't ever want to, it's facilitated my life beyond anything I could have imagined. I've worked all over the world. But I saw the holes, I saw the gaps. And as a young 17-year-old nurse, we had some freedom of input, of trusting our integrity. But as protocols and practices and fear around litigation came into medicine, I lost the opportunity to be Denise. I just had to be a set of rules. And I'm really good at that. When I'm working professionally, I can stay within the rules, but I'm just really sorry for the clients and the patients I'm looking after because they miss out on 80% of Denise. So I was working with birthing women and I just couldn't get my head around the way they were being treated. And I'm talking 40 years ago. I just couldn't tolerate that women had lost their voice. I mean, we've never had much of a voice, but if you think you might have had a voice when you were going into labour in the old days, or as modern society came forward, to be honest, in the 70s, suddenly we had to say, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do, no, you're not allowed to do that. Not allowed was the catchphrase.
Wow.
So for me, I saw these huge gaps in midwifery. And then as my career progressed, I saw massive gaps. I was a palliative care nurse. Once again, people were only getting 20% of Denise. I wasn't allowed to say words. I wasn't allowed to behave in a different way unless the doctor had said I could. And so one day I thought, I've got to train people, lay people who have got, I'm calling lay, non-medical. I've got to train people to use all their skills. And Emma, I would call you a doula of life. I would say that you're here facilitating podcasts, and that's all you are. You're serving the community.
Yeah.
I wanted to give every man and woman, but strangely enough, it's 90% women, the opportunity to say, you know what, I'm worthy. I'm enough. I've got deep inside me what I need to tell to other women first and foremost, and maybe men, but I've got a story and I've lived life enough to know I can share a little bit of that. So I established the birth doula training, and I'm still training birth doulas just online. You know, a lot of people come to me and say, I want to do your training. So I run birth doula training still, and in Thailand, in Cambodia, where I still work with midwives who do the actual midwifery, but I work as a birth doula there. And so I guess the fascination, and then, you know, as a young nurse, I was always around death. And in Cambodia, I live in a remote village without electricity or clean water, no hospitals, and I'm the only medical care. So death is a really normal part of life. So I love that I'm a doula. I've got the skills to facilitate death there because I'm not relying on medicine and I'm not relying on other things. I'm relying on myself. So a doula is just somebody who serves.
That's so beautiful. So do you still go to Cambodia now?
We're just about to leave in a few weeks. So, yeah.
And what are you doing in Cambodia? When you go there in a few weeks, what do you do?
Well, we've got our charity there. So we're going back now to reestablish it post-COVID, but we've got 4 health centers. I live in a village, once again, with no clean water or electricity or anything. So I live in a village and I'm on call 24/7 as a nurse. And to support the midwives as well. So, God, my life is crazy. I have a volunteer program. I usually have about 15 volunteers from anybody who wants to you got to come for 3 months though, because we're so remote. It's such a challenging way to integrate into a community. So I go there. We've got, before COVID, we had schools in just little schools, no buildings, chalkboard, a piece of chalk in 5 villages around me. I support 3 hospitals. I bring doctors and nurses over to teach skills there, like literally go in and teach them how to do an operation. And I just live in the village Monday to Friday. I come out of the village on weekends. There's nobody speaks English. So I sort of come out and go to a coffee shop up in Phnom Penh so I can say hello to somebody.
Yeah.
And I just live this phenomenal life without language because nobody speaks English. My midwife speaks a bit of English that I work with very closely. Yeah. She does all my translation, but I literally just get on with tasks. And it's just the most phenomenal life. I can't even explain it. You've got no electricity, so the night light is so beautiful. I just sit in the night light in silence, listening to the trees rustling. I work really hard all day. I get called in the middle of the night for a baby or somebody really sick. And I'm volunteering. It's that Gary and I sold a house and used half our money to be able to facilitate the program. So we just serve people, and we do it without expectation. And we've had a professional life. Gary's followed his professional needs, career. And at 60, I started the project with 3 other women, the Cambodian Women's Health Service. So they're all midwives, and they just asked me to bring kindness. They didn't actually ask for medicine at first. I met one of them. They just said, could you bring kindness? Post-Pol Pot, the country was recovering, and genocide that it was there was just horrendous. So can you bring kindness? So I took kindness, and I thought, how hard can it be? Well, for people who are devastated, being kind isn't part of it. Ripping each other off is a big part of it.
Okay.
So it's been quite a journey, and that's our lives now. I run death doula training courses in Australia and throughout the world. I run an online course I facilitate, and I've got other facilitators. We're just starting face-to-face courses again. So I use the income from my courses to service Cambodia.
Yeah. So how do people find you?
As a doula?
Well, if they want to do one of your courses.
Oh, Facebook. Facebook's been phenomenal for me. Social
Denise
media.
Love. Okay.
Denise Love, just death doula, search death doula. There's 3 courses run in Australia. So they just, look, word of mouth is more powerful than any social media.
Yep, I agree.
And I've been teaching birth doula trainings for 40 years or something. I've just created a bit like you, a space for myself on earth, and people will find you when they need you most. And whether it's to be their friend or to support them. I do a lot of women's work. So the word just travels. Well, how did you find me, Emma? The same way.
Yes. Well, this beautiful woman, she wants to do my training, Family Freedom Protocol. And I was just chatting to her. She goes, I just have to introduce you to one of my friends, Denise Love. I'm like, awesome. Stick us in a private message together. This would be fabulous. And then and here we are. I think that was a couple of days ago. And now we're here. Denise, tell me, what do you do in Thailand then?
Well, Thailand, number one, my son works and lives in Thailand, and my first grandchild was born in Thailand. So my daughter went over there to work. My son and daughter have a close relationship, and she went over with her husband to work there, got pregnant and had a baby. And when I was in the hospital she gave birth in a birth center, a very new birth center. The doctor said to me, I don't know who you are, but can you teach me all of that stuff?
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I then worked to the biggest hospital in Southeast Asia. I worked as a consultant to them. I went first and foremost as a birth doula, but then I became a consultant registered nurse to support expat women who are coming to the hospital, but also teach some skills to the nurses in the hospital. So that was 16 years ago. And so I just, Gary and I have a house in Cambodia, we have a house in Australia, we have an apartment in Sydney, and we have an apartment in Thailand, and we Airbnb them when we're not in them, and we just rotate, go to Nepal, teach in China, we teach the leadership program in China. So we just Airbnb wherever we're not living. And right now I'm in country Victoria looking at kangaroos and beautiful animals to get my soul together. But we just literally drift. We just drift, and we work really hard as volunteers in all of those jobs. And through my training courses, we get enough for airfares, and then we use the rest of the money as part of our project. So we're trying to just...
I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
I had this big epiphany. I was in Vegas, and I've never done my work with expectations. So if somebody's ringing me and say, hey, Emma, can I just jump on a Zoom with you to see if I want to do your course or work with you? I'm like, yeah, sure. I don't expect that if I jump on that Zoom, that person's going to sign up. I'm just having that 15-minute chat just to get to know them and build a relationship, right? And it works for me because I've always figured you just serve, God pays me, right? God will sort it out, universe, whatever you want to call it. I just call it God. God will sort me out, and it's always worked for me. And it got me from making $19,000 a year to I made $1 million last year in my work, which is fucking phenomenal because it's proof of how many people are feeling better about their lives now, right? And who are going off and helping other people. It's fantastic. I fucked up in Vegas. So I've just come back from America. And I did a talk and it shared my training, Family Freedom Protocol. And Family Freedom Protocol, it's like training someone how to take a practitioner, how to take a client through 8 sessions, right? So I went there and I don't know what the hell happened, but I had this expectation of flying all the way over there. I'm going to stand there and all the people in the room are going to sign up. And then afterwards, I had this really weird feeling, like I couldn't explain it. And my husband was with me. He's gone, what's going on? I went, I don't know, but I have to process something. I went, I know what it is. I said, I feel out of alignment with myself. I'm out of alignment with my own values, but I don't know what it is yet. I said, I just feel discombobulated. I don't like myself at the moment. There's something wrong. I don't like it. And he goes, right, feel into it. About it, I don't know, a few hours later, I know what it is. I said, I got entitled. I turned up and I was so entitled that I thought, well, I'm paying all this money and I'm doing this, so you need to pay me for it. And I'm like, I fucked it up. And I was like, wow, that was so. And I love that you've said it a few times now. You're going, I go there with no expectation. I just serve.
So that's keeping ego in track. And I've got to work on it. Trust me, I've got to work on it, Emma. But the minute you set an expectation beyond your integrity and your truths, then you don't feel aligned and people don't like who you are when they're listening to you. It's all of that stuff. Yeah.
And I didn't like me either. Yeah. And when you don't like yourself, you got to sort shit out. You know what I mean?
And I think that's, look, people ask me all the time. I do interviews on television and radio and stuff, but I'm too busy getting on with serving people to want to elevate myself too high. And it's funny, Emma, I hesitated even to say yes to you because I do a few podcasts, but I wanted first to look at who you were. And I thought, no, I'm okay. This is perfect.
Yeah. So, I'm so honored. Thank you.
Yeah. And so serving without expectation is, first of all, I set my own integrity. I know who I am. And that's what I wanted to say even at the beginning. I am worthy of things and I am enough. And I use those two words because it's a lot of workshop stuff I do too on women being worthy and enough. And as a doula, we have to believe we're enough. Because people say, when I'm walking up the pathway to somebody's house, I think, how did I get here again? What am I doing? Because, I'm walking to the house, people like you, I've just had a quick phone call. I don't charge for the first visit. I have the phone call and then I go for the first visit. Because if I don't connect, I can't serve them and they can't serve. I can't be of service. Now, that never happens because luckily I've lived long enough to become a bit of a chameleon and I love working with the most challenging people that there are because then I do the learning.
Yes.
So, I walk up the path and I go, it's okay, Denise, you're enough. And just saying those words to myself, if I could get every woman on earth to just say every morning, I am enough.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean, Emma, I'm not improving myself and constantly working on myself, but it just means for this minute today, I'm enough.
And do you know what? I love that you say that because this is the thing. Everyone has problems. And people say to me, what's the number one top tip you can give me, Emma, to feel better? I go, love yourself. That's what you got to do. But it's the thing is, it's like, don't just sit there and go, I love myself. Do I love myself? Do the thing that proves you that you love yourself. Have those beautiful, gentle boundaries up. Say yes more to yourself. It's like after this, I'm very tired today, Denise. And after this, I had a whole lot of other things I've got to do. Before I got on with you, I just went, no, hang on. Who am I serving if I'm exhausted? Nobody. So I just quickly said to everyone, 3 other people, I'm like, hey guys, we need to reschedule. I'm tired. I need to chill. I need to sit on the couch and I need to watch, some crap TV. All right. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I need to get in my pajamas and it's only it's only 3 p.m. here. But literally by 3:30, I'll be in my pajamas on the couch. And that's okay. Whereas the old Emma, I would have felt really guilty and shamed about that. And because of the people pleaser, I would have pushed and pushed and pushed. But I'm enough. I'm enough to say I'm okay today to chill out on the couch for the afternoon.
So the other word we're saying is no. We're saying, no, I can't do that. So that's the I'm enough, learning like you, I've been a people pleaser. And when I first started to say no, I couldn't believe, number one, the ceiling didn't fall on me. Number two,
I know, right? No one died.
Nobody died. And guess what? Nobody really did die. They got through another day without Denise Love by this time.
I know, right?
So
to be honest, no one really gave a shit either that I said
That's the point. That's the point. They were probably just letting me come because they thought they were pleasing me,
Yeah.
So it took me a long time, Emma, and you found it out a lot earlier. It certainly took me I had some turning points mid-30s, and then by 45, I really felt comfortable with myself. And I do think there's a rite of passage. We do have to go through all that stuff you're talking about. But I just love the fact that at 60, 3 women and there were 3 midwives who'd been in camps during Pol Pot. And as they left the camps, they said to each other, we commit to looking after the women of Cambodia.
Oh, gosh.
Then they accidentally found me. And that day they found me, they said, sister, we've got to look after the women in Cambodia. We lost too many babies. Too many babies are dying. And in that time, 46% of babies were dying in my village from lack of clean water, just clean water. So 4 60-year-old women, I rang Gary, he was in Bangkok, and I said, babe, I've got a project. I'm looking over there because he's sitting there. I rang Gary and said, get your ass over here. We've got something we have to do in this world and it's going to cost money. And when I was a 12-year-old, I said to my family sitting around the dinner table, if everybody gave up half of everything they had, there would be no hungry people.
It's true.
So I rang Gary and he flew over that night and somehow the 4 midwives were in front of us. And I said to Gary, you ready? And we've talked lots about it, what we do when we had time and we'd fulfilled our personal career choices. And I said, are you ready? So we actually sold our place in Sydney and we used half the money to do what we're doing now. And I've never felt so worthy and so energized by downsizing, decluttering. We took 4 of everything with us and gave everything else away, all our artwork we spent your life collecting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I've tried to live my speak, if you know what I mean. I mean, like you, Emma, I've sat in a lot of workshops talking about it, and I wanted a lot for when I was a married woman with children. And, I love beautiful things, don't get me wrong, but I've had them. I've had my dream cars. I've had my dream sinks. I love sinks in houses and renovations. And had all the pull-out ironing boards and all the things I always thought I wanted. And I was lucky enough to be married to a professional man. I worked really hard and we made our money work for us. We've never been extravagant. So sharing it with a community of people who are in recovery has been phenomenal, and I just think if you trust in your gut and trust in yourself, you're 90% there,
That's the thing. And, it's because you're a trainer, you're a teacher trainer as well. And this is the one thing that I think is the biggest block from people actually going, yes, I want to serve. Yes, I want to be a healer. Or yes, I want to work with people. Or yes, is they don't trust themselves. They'll come up with excuses about the money. I go, it's not about the money. It's not about the money. Money comes and goes. It's not about the time. And I go, what is it really? They go, I don't think I can do it. I go, well, how do you know if you haven't had a go? Because right now, of course you can't do it because you haven't had the training and you're not doing it. And it's that trust. I go, when did you lose this self-trust? Because as a baby, you were born with self-trust. And then shit happened and it fucked it up. And I'm like, we got to go back. We got to go back to where you completely trust in yourself. Because if you don't, that's where you're going to fuck shit up.
And Emma, that's where I learned working with women when they were pregnant and going into labour and really wanted to have a birth without interference or intervention. If I can't find that in that woman before we go into labour where she goes, women have been doing this and they are today doing this all over the world.
Yeah,
I don't need rescuing. I don't need rescuing. I can do. I mean, if women don't want to do it, that's their journey, and I'm on it with them as well to get to another point in life. But one of the tools and the gifts we're given as women is pregnancy and is birth, and I know that it takes everything inside you to get through that process.
Yeah.
But other women find another part, but it is a gift we're given if we're lucky enough to be able to do that. And then I watch mummies lose their trust as mothers. It's really a tough gig being a mother in this day and age. It's much harder than it used to be.
It was so much easier. Like my boys are 20 and 21. It was much easier when my boys were young than I see mothers now.
Look, and much easier when mine were babies because we had limited resources. We did have to cook meals. We didn't have to be a super chef that provided 4 different meals, and we didn't have the dietary issues because there wasn't chemicals and preservatives.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I could go on about that forever, but I think the gig, and I'm watching my daughter with a 16 and a 14-year-old who are articulate, they have an opinion, they have a voice. and they actually know what they're talking about. And to try and parent these kids who are so out there and so capable, and let alone social media, don't even go there. But it's a big gig. It's a big gig for women. And, you know, I've been part of that process of telling women they could be anything they wanted to be. Well, guess what? It's really hard to be a lot of those things as a mum as well. And I'm now in my age group, as a woman, I want to gather you all and say, just stop for a minute. You don't have to do all these things if you know, when your kids are little, I mean. We can slow down. We can do nothing other than just being a mum for a little while. Oh, what if I lose my place in my corporate life? And what if I, you know, I say, what if? You'll find another place.
That's right. And maybe probably a better place. Because when we honor ourselves, God provides.
Absolutely. And Emma, we're living out of fear at the moment, and COVID's topped all that up. So there's a massive place for us. And you know, I've got some of my own fears I've never had in my life before as an end result of 3 years of not being in my heart space. You know, that's what we're just going back to Asia now, to try and rebuild, regather, and re-understand the new world we're walking into.
Yeah.
And the word reimagining, I'm saying to every young woman now, or every woman, I'm saying, I need you to take a breath. Just stop for a minute. Once a week, have half a day where you make sure you're where you want to be. And if you're not, can you spend half a day reimagining what that might be? And if I mean, I'm probably on the verge of wanting to run reimagining workshops for women specifically. And that's just
magical. I can feel that. It's got goosebumps everywhere.
Yeah, I want to challenge every belief system that we've got, because it's all just changed. Everything's what we're doing now has changed. We didn't have this skill and capacity to offer to the community 5 years ago. You know, I know podcasts have always been around, but they have a different energy behind them now and different urgency. So reimagining life, if I can speak to anybody who ever watches this, just this week, take half a day to reimagine your life. Are you living life to the fullest? And because I work with dying people, and I'm not talking I'm talking children that are dying, I'm talking babies, I'm talking teenagers who sit with me and saying, Denise, I didn't get to do blah, blah. I say, well, how can we do that this week? Let's buy some Italian food. Let's do a look through Italy, and let's get dressed up as Italians for the week, because you might be dead next week. We better do it now. And so I'm reimagining people's lives all the time within a short time. And I just think it's the one thing as healthy people that we can do is sit down and go, am I living the life I deserve? And am I living it fully?
Yeah, and to your own fully, not somebody else's idea of fully. Because I made that mistake. I made that mistake with my boys, and I think they were about 11 and 12, because when my boys were 11 and 12, that's when I was diagnosed with MS. So yeah, when I was 44, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I healed myself of that, which is great. But that was the whole shake-up of my life. That was a time when it was like, Emma, you've got to get your sorry, that was my dog. That was like, Emma, you got to get your shit together. And I realized it took, you know, my boys were 11, 12, that I was parenting my boys the way everybody else thought I needed to parent them. You know, and it was like, I remember I rang my son, my oldest son, Jack. And I went to this 4-day women's retreat. And that's when I realized that. I rang him up. I was at Brisbane Airport, and I rang him up, and he answered the phone, and I went, darling, I love you just the way you are. And I feel like the emotion, because that little boy, that little 12-year-old boy on the phone, he just broke down. And he cried and he cried and he cried because his mother finally saw him.
Absolutely. I've got goosebumps all over me.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
And the thing for me is, that's what I'm saying to each one of us, sit down for half a day and go, am I acknowledging who I am? Because how can I ask, you know, my mother or my father or anybody to acknowledge me? And I'm talking, I've still got a mother at 93, you know.
Yeah.
You spend your life looking for that acknowledgement from our elders at some level. And until you can say that as a mummy to your child, I actually love you just the way you are. And I'm sorry I've spent the last 12 years trying to build the image of what I thought maybe you'd be happier being. Because I don't
Yeah.
think you and I did it out of malice. I know some of it was about our own
No.
ego. Some of it was about being a bloody good mother. I mean, let's face it, we had our own little bit of stuff in there as well, but we were coming from a loving space. And so, look, the kids, being a parent is tough, Emma. It's really tough
Yeah.
to have the learnings. And I guess, as I said, another rite of passage is we do have to do that stuff. But can I just say thank you for giving that to your son and to having the courage as a
Thank
mother
you.
for doing that?
It was huge for me. And, you know, it's because I've got two sons who are only 1 year and 3 months apart, 3 weeks apart. So they're very close in age. And then just to reteach myself or relearn or unlearn how to be that kind of mother, and then just go, what do my sons need from me? And it was so much easier. The pressure came off. The only thing I really had to fight with was the fear of being judged by other people. But
Absolutely.
then it gave my boys the opportunity to grow into amazing young men. You know, and my oldest son, Jack, who's 21, he's been working with women since he was 16. You know, like women, like grown women.
Yep,
He's been helping them since he was 16 because I just allowed him to be him with
to follow his
boundaries.
path,
With
sure.
boundaries, with love, with direction. I didn't force him. I didn't judge him on it. I just allowed him to flourish in his own beautiful way. And same with Ben. And that, but did I get some flack?
Oh, absolutely. And Emma, I just want to take up the word boundaries because when I say yes to everything, I still have my boundaries around it. So I can always choose to say no. But look, kids haven't got enough boundaries at the moment. I know
I agree with you.
Every old woman says that, but we're not setting those boundaries strong enough and hard enough because there are so many issues out there that are not comfortable to be within. So boundaries in life is massive. And as women, I don't think, I come from the post-Second World War era. I come from the post when we had not enough food in Australia. And then I was the first generation to go to university. And then we all expected all our kids to go to university. And the pressure we put on these kids not to be who they are is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And to be masters of sport and be able to play every instrument. And, you know, I just watch it and see it all the time. But I'm with you. I mean, parenting's still tough and it needs to be very strong boundaries, but with a huge openness.
Exactly. I agree. And that's nailing it. You know, I think parents are too scared to say no to their children. They're too scared to not be friends with their children. They're too scared to be yelled at by their children. It's no. Because we're not here to be friends with them. We're here to lead them. We're here to support them in their journey.
Absolutely. We're their guide until 18. And so that thing of, I mean, I'm saying to mummies all the time in workshops I do, in this culture that we're in now, no means talk me into it. So you're gutless. You just say no. And then you stand around, you actually listen to the arguments. Turn around and walk away. If you're not standing there, they can't argue with you.
100%.
And they say, well, my kid says, don't turn your back and walk away on me. And I say, and do you listen to that?
Yeah.
Who's the parent here?
Yeah.
Just keep walking.
Yeah.
They're
just too scared. They're too scared for there to be an upset.
Yeah. And they want to be, it's trendy to be friends with your kids and it doesn't work. I wish it did. You can be friends later. The beautiful gift is if you get it right early, you have a friendship afterwards, you know, and friendship is, but even friendship should have boundaries. Do you know what I mean? I think friendship's a blur too. Yeah.
Because we're bringing up this whole, I think there's a whole entitlement now.
Absolutely.
There's this thing about entitlement. Work for it. Like teach your kids how to clean a toilet. Teach your kid how to iron, how to cook, how to clean. Teach your kid. And don't pay them for it either.
And what's with that?
I know.
I
pay my child to put the bins out. What do you mean?
Did they not contribute to the rubbish? Look,
they have to put the bins out.
Give your kids pocket money, but that's nothing to do with sharing the chores.
With chores, that's right. Exactly
totally
right.
different thing. And You know, I was talking to mum the other day and she said, well, my boundary is that I take away that money when they don't put the bin. I said, do you think they give a shit? Do
No,
you think our kids that have got everything, even the poor ones compared to the kids
I
I live
know.
with,
I know.
you know, they're just, you think taking away a tiny bit of pocket money is actually going to say, take the bins out. You're teaching them a different value. It's not
Yeah.
even, it's nothing about contribution. It's nothing
Yeah.
about owning your own space. And did you poo in that toilet? Well, try cleaning it off the walls because I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly right.
you know what I'm talking
Exactly.
about? You know, but as women, and even your age group woman learnt from me, we were still serving men too well. We were still running
Mm.
around after them, you know. And I remember
Yes.
saying to my husband very early in our marriage, because it was such a short relationship, I'm not your mother. She might have done it for you, but I don't. You know, and I took on a fairly traditional role a lot of the time, but not all the time. You know, when it was convenient, I became the housekeeper and cleaner, and he earned the money for a while. Then I'd say, I'm done with this. I mean, I love a clean, tidy house, but do I like doing it? Not any more than it. Or some people love it, but you know, we had to keep renegotiating. We just had to keep renegotiating. For
Mm.
this year, this is how we're going to function. And I don't think enough families do that. I don't think enough
Yeah, I
families.
agree. I agree.
Yeah,
Like I just ran a big relationship retreat in Dalesford, 4 or 5 weeks ago.
I was
And
here. How could I not have known
yeah, I
you?
didn't even know you
I'm
then.
here right now.
It's crazy. And like I had 4 beautiful couples, and sorry about that. And most of them are actually not having sex.
Oh, that's the newest and biggest and latest.
Yes.
I know
And
that.
I'm like, tell me why. And I said, what I want you to do is I want you to all get up and just make a cup of tea. The 4 women got up, went straight over and made their men
Stop
a
it.
cup of tea.
Stop it.
And I went, hang on, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And they said, oh, well, I always get this. I said, does your man leave his undies on the floor? Yes. Who picks them up? I do. Why? I don't even put my husband's, I do the washing, but I don't put anybody's washing away but mine. If we go away, we go away a lot because, you know, I travel a lot. I'm like you, Denise, we travel a lot. People say to me, oh, you must pack for Anthony. Why would I pack a grown man's suitcase? Why would I be packing his suitcase? I'm not his mother. And this is the thing, is so many women, like wives or partners, have placed themselves in the mother role. Well, no mother wants to fuck her kid.
Precisely.
And that's why there's no sex. And when you say that, they go, holy shit. I said, you complain that he's not the man, yet you're making him into a little boy.
And also, I absolutely agree with that what you're saying, but the relationship shifts and changes. I mean, if you don't,
All the
everything
time.
you're saying, I want to talk a million times, but Gary and I, you know, when we were 40, we had an affair. I said to him, do you want to have an affair? And she said, oh my God, what do you should think? What's the latest thing now? And I said, no, I want to have an affair with you.
Yes, I love this.
We're watching all our friends divorce and separate and do these beautiful trips away and lovely jewelry here and this there and her doing this and him doing that and having spas together. And I said, let's do it. And we actually moved to Sydney into a tiny apartment in Newtown, and we had coffees at 10 o'clock at night. And we just had the most extraordinary affair. We still had one child at home. And you know, I learned that day that you've got to re-energize and that's when we changed a lot of that behavior I'd fallen into of being his mother, because he was such an important businessman. He was earning the money and I should be, you know what I'm
I
talking
did the same.
about.
I did exactly the same.
Yeah. And then Gary complained one day and said, God, you're so untidy. And I said, well, try tidying it. And I don't think I've put anything away since then.
Do you know what was mine? I remember Anthony came to me and he gave me a pair of socks. Like he's a builder, right? And he had a pair of socks. He would just get his work socks from Kmart. He came up with a pair of socks and it had a hole in it. And he handed it to me. I went, what? And he goes, would you darn it? And I laughed so hard. I went, no. But you can go up to Kmart up the road and buy yourself some new ones. And that's when I was like, because he's is Italian, so his mother would have done
But
it.
our mothers did all that. I
And I was like,
know.
oh, this is, and I just went, where else am I mothering him? And I went, everywhere.
And
and
who's
I had-
doing it? We are. We do it.
We do it.
together,
We do
yeah.
it. We emasculate them.
But
And that's when I was
that's
like,
why,
nah.
sorry, as an older woman, thank you for having me on, because I feel compelled to help you women change what I fell into, and then you need to change, help 20-year-olds not fall in the pathways, you know, because at the end of the day, women want to buy men's love, and it's through those domestic things.
100%.
Yep. And then we complain about them, but we're doing it ourselves. So thank you for bringing that sort of stuff up. And funnily enough, I love darning socks. Gary's mum used to knit socks, and then she taught me to darn them. And then I feel sad that we're losing all those womanly traits. But the one that I was going to say to you is Gary came to me with a pair of underpants one day and said, all my undies have got holes in them. Could you buy me some more? You know, and that was almost a breaking point for us. I just said, what do you mean, could I buy you? You know, this came out there. There's a men's shop there. There's Coles there. Is it really my task in life to buy your undies? Big shifts take place, don't they? Big shifts.
They do. And it is these little tiny, like people go, oh, it's just undies. It's the little things that make the big difference, because we hold on to the big stuff. And it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. So I actually love the straw that broke the camel's back, because it gives it the opportunity to go, okay, let's unravel this and see what's really going on. And then you get the opportunity to change it. It's amazing. Life is beautiful for that.
And it's self-assessment time, you know. It's so easy to blame the other person, but that's self-assessment time. And we had almost a divorce one night when Gary came home from being away. He used to go away 4 days a week. And came home and just opened. I had a drawer beside the washing machine, and he'd never, ever used the washing machine. And it's not his fault. It's a 50%. I always did the washing. Anyway, he came and he opened up the drawer beside and dropped his 4 days of dirty washing in there. And I nearly vomited. And I screamed, if you ever do that to me again, lift the lid of the washing machine and wash it. And there was another turning point in our relationship. But the biggest learning was mine. He was just doing what he'd always done with his mum, and then he worked in dongas, and he always had cleaning women and this and that. We're the women who need to change. We don't need to ask our men to change. We need to say, hey, could you do the washing while I do the dinner? I've got a son. I've got to tell you the fun thing, because so we were going through a time in our teenage years' life where I'd say, every week I'd say, who wants to do what this week? So, because some of us hate doing one job or another, and we'd try and work out, and depending on the timetables. So Matthew used to say to me, Mum, I'll do the television while you get the dinner. And I would catch myself saying, oh, sure, babe, great, that's great. And I think,
hang on.
What are we going to do? And it was such a habit where I'd just go, oh, yeah, sure, it must be my turn for dinner. So you'd say to me, Mum, I'll do the television if you'll do the dinner. I'd go, yeah, okay. Oh, what? How did I fall for that? I had very clever children, Emma. Very clever.
You have very clever children. Denise, we need to wrap up. If there's one thing that you could say, I mean, you have just said so much gold to inspire women and men in this podcast. I can't thank you. I'm so excited that you're on here. What is one bit of gold you could give to all our listeners out there? Go for it. No pressure.
just believe in yourself.
Yes.
Just believe in yourself. I don't care if you've got mental illness. I don't care what you've got. You are worthy and you are enough.
Yes.
And you know, for all the people who don't feel enough, whether it's to do with your appearance or your mental state or your well-being in general, or you've got cancer, but you are enough for today. Just today, you're worthy and you're enough. So just say yes to everything with strong boundaries.
I love that.
Just live fully until you die, because we're all dying. I'm just not sure which day.
Yeah, the only thing. Denise, thank you so much. Everyone, this is Denise Love. You can find her on Facebook under Denise Love. But if you want to, if you really want to, like, just email me at emma@emmaromano.com.au and ask me, like, I want to talk to Denise, and I will put you in contact with her if you can't find her. Denise, thank you. Everybody, we love you. Thank you so much. And Cal will be with us soon.